me great pleasure, coupled with great sadness, to say that this is the final episode of the Jump Show before the Cheltenham Festival. We've had such a fantastic run of things. The Ante-Post series has brought us so much joy, but now we are coming to the final episode before the great week, and hopefully we'll continue to give you some great tips. Jake Price and Dan Overall alongside me once again. Chaps, I have to say, I'm trying to hold back the tears here because we've had such a lovely time of things. And unfortunately, now we've got to say goodbye. But at the same time, we're saying hello because hopefully, Jake, some serious money is to be made.
Oh God, I hope so. Yeah, this is the week that we all build up for, isn't it? The whole season. So whether people like it or not, it's still the best week of racing. So yeah, let's just hope it's a good one. We're going to be there, so we're going to enjoy it either way. And yeah, fingers crossed we have some winners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Dan, how pumped are you for the 4 days next week?
It's those precious few days in the build-up where it all starts to hit home. All the talk for weeks upon weeks. I mean, we put our opinions out there to be shot down week by week, and soon we're gonna be putting it to the test. And most of the time, it'll go wrong. You just hope on one or two occasions it goes right, and you have something to chat about at the end. But don't cry because it's over, Tom. Smile because it happened. It's been a great journey so far. And as I say, we just hope that come the end of the week, we can all look back on this series fondly and profitably, hopefully.
Yeah, profitably is the name of the game, isn't it, with this Ante-Post series? But as you say, one thing we have had is a lot of fun. First of all, thank you all, because we've hit 1,000 subscribers. That was the aim before the Cheltenham Festival, to reach that landmark. I'm delighted to say we've hit that with 1 week to go. So do keep on subscribing. But it's brilliant we've managed to hit that number of 1,000. So if you haven't already, do check out our Cheltenham handicaps review. It was a lot of fun involving Let's Talk Racing as well. Me, Jake, Dan, coupled alongside Andrew Blair White and Josh Stacey. So if you haven't seen that, please do, because there's plenty of nuggets in there to dive into ahead of the Cheltenham Festival, particularly focusing on those handicaps. As I said, it's been a long journey through the last 8 weeks or so to get to this point. We've had plenty of interesting selections put up by the panel, and intriguing ones too. Ones that have been backed in, ones that haven't been, ones that are now non-runners. But I think all three of us have managed to get at least one that has done at least very well in terms of being backed in. So significant market move, if you will. And Dan, let's start with you, because your selections have been generally pretty big prices, but you've had some of those that have been backed in pretty nicely.
Yeah, I try and keep them big prices and a bit interesting. And obviously, I generally move on to the handicaps pretty soon, which is where invariably a lot of my hopes will rest. Obviously, we started off with, I'll keep this short because it still annoys me, Goodland in the Bartlett. And obviously, he's going to probably be about 5 or 6 1 for the Ballymore, and we'll probably be finished second to Impere Pass. So, whereas he would have won the Bartlett. But we'll move on quickly from that. One who may run in the Ballymore.
I feel like that's going to annoy you for the rest of your life. Actually, I don't think that's ever going to be unless you win the Ballymore. I think that's going to annoy you forever.
Anyone who's had the pleasure of listening to me, or displeasure, depending on how you want to phrase it, for a number of years, may remember Cocoa Beach in the Kinmure. It's probably going to go up there with that. In ones I feel like I've just lost out on. But by the by, we'll skip over that. There are some good ones in there still. Dark Raven may still run in the Ballymore. It's interesting because In the Pocket has been one of the most highly touted Ballymore each way bets on the preview circuit by some distance. And yet Dark Raven, who finished like a nose behind him, having had less experience at the Dublin Racing Festival, has barely been mentioned anywhere, like by anyone. So I'm really not sure what's going on with him. I still think he'd have a place chance at the Ballymore if he ran, but I honestly couldn't tell you if he's going to run there, the Supreme, or just not go. It's a bit of a weird one with him. I say the better bets would probably be Lord Accord in the Ultimate at 33s. Obviously, he's been pretty popular since, looking around 14, 12 to 1 generally now. If the ground is good, I still give him a cracking chance. Marlon Mission has got a squeak in the National Hunt Chase. We've got him at 14 to 1. Obviously, I think Gaillard Duminil is going to be very, very tough to beat. It wasn't ideal him getting beat by Churchdown Warrior last time out, but again, the premise behind that bet was think that he's going to be a solid each way option. Hopefully, Gaillard Duminil didn't go, but he is there. But he's halved in price, so there's nothing really to complain about there in terms of a bet. And Andy Dufresne is one who's been very popular as well. I was struggling that week, big time, for a selection. I just kind of got lucky and stumbled upon him, to be honest. And I mean, he's now nearly joint favourite for the Grand Annual, 8-1. I mean, he's short as 6 in places, and we're sitting on 20s. So it would be some effort to win off top weight, but it's not impossible. And then the other two, obviously, it's been in recent weeks, fast or slow in the plate. I'd be amazed if he runs in the Ultima, which seems to be the rumour going around. And then Sharjah for the county, who seemingly looks like going. And to be honest, the more and more I think about Sharjah, the more I fancy him. So we've got a few live ones in there, and it only takes one of those to land, and we're looking at a profitable book. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's quite an impressive book, I have to say. I mean, only 1 week you didn't select anything because, you know, you didn't fancy anything enough. And apart from that, I'd say nearly every horse you've selected has been backed in. Potential non-runners for Dark Raven and Fast or Slow, but in reality, they're most likely to go for the races that you've mentioned. So yeah, a really good selection. As you say, good land, the one that's just got away slightly, but hopefully he'll run a good race in the Ballymore. I'll do mine next. It's been a bit of a rocky road for me in a way, but I started off well. At least hopefully I've started off well with Blood Destiny in the Triumph. Got the value there at least. Whether or not he wins is another matter. But
some value as well. My God.
Yeah, no, it's I got a bit lucky. I think
the best bet of the series by some distance.
Well,
we'll see.
In terms of Ante-Post value, it's the best.
Yeah, I've been lucky on that front in the fact that, you know, I cottoned onto him a little bit early, and I thought after his win at Cork that he looked a bit of a tool, and I thought there's a huge amount of hype around Lossiemouth in the juvenile hurdle division. Perhaps he could be one that Mullins also throws into the race. I didn't think at that stage that it would be quite to the extent of how talented a horse we're looking at the moment, because of course he won next time out, beating Nusret 15 or 18, I think 18 and a half lengths it was, who has obviously gone on to win the Adonis. You know, then that form was super strong. Both of his wins are super strong. That's beating Sir Alan in that Cork race, who's since gone on to win twice and is quite well fancied for the Boodles. I mean, that's really strong form. So hopefully now 7-4 from 20-1, he can run a big race in the Triumph. I do fancy him a lot. I mean, nothing's changed. He's only become more solid in my mind, particularly because of the last, you know, preview nights the last week or so.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Townend and Willie Mullins, they've all been very confident about him, almost more so than both Lossiemouth and Gala Marceau. So I'm hoping that he's the one for the Triumph. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Paul ends up riding him. Paul won't be riding Classic Getaway in the brand of rider. He's not going to run. So that was a bad tip from me. But you know, they all get away. I didn't put anything up in week 3. Hidden Heroics is a shocker in National Hunt Chase.
That's the worst bet of the series.
That's caused you so much grief, Hidden Heroics. So much grief.
Oh, so much grief. And the worst thing is as well that he ran at Ludlow last week in what was a much inferior race, the one that he would have been running at Cheltenham. He got absolutely destroyed. So I don't think he would have won that National Hunt Chase.
I think I messaged you afterwards, didn't I, saying that's weird National Hunt Chase prep run there.
I know. Really dreadful selection. The one that I'm a little bit disappointed about, actually, in terms of being a non-runner, is Liberty Dance, because I thought she would have had a really good chance. Novice, a really strong race in a contest that has produced plenty of mares novice winners in the past. And you know, it's one of those things she's not running, but it is a bit of a shame. I'm slightly surprised to see Alette Tom drifting out to 6s. So I put him for 5s, but obviously Facile Vega has been really well supported in the last few days. I'm sticking by Alette Tom though. I think that was a really impressive performance at Leopardstown last time. I know that Facile Vega completely bombed out, but the thing about Alette Tom was that I said in one of the videos earlier in the season that he's a horse who's improved markedly for that fitting of the hood, because he was such a keen goer. But he's managed to contain that enthusiasm and evolve it into talent and being able to produce that energy at the right time. And I think that's been vital for his chances in Grade 1 contests. We saw that last time. That was a career best from him. So I think the strong pace in the Supreme is really going to suit him. So I'm hoping Alette Tom can continue to progress and really put it up to them in that race. And I stick by Nube Negra as well. I know there'll be plenty of laughs about this, but I do. The one concern for me, and it's a pretty big concern, is the forecast rain over the next few days. You know, he's a horse that needs really, really quick ground, and he's also a horse that needs to be fresh. So at least we've got that side that's going to happen. He's going to be fresh. He's not run since Kempton at Christmas, and that was a race in which he ran too quickly after the Tingle Creek behind Editor de Gite. So hopefully, sorry, behind this, but after Schleche. So hopefully, Numenegger is going to be able to produce a good performance. I think that strong pace in that contest is really going to suit. Oscar Elite, that was the selection last week for the Ultima, a horse who arguably should have won the race last year, went very wide all the way around, hit the front two out, probably got there too early, and then didn't quite finish off his race. Hopefully this time be a little bit different. He's £1 higher, so I wouldn't thought it makes much difference. And he comes on in off the back of a really good performance in the Reynolds stand. So for me, Oscar Elite in that race is very solid. He runs Cheltenham really well, likes good ground too. So hopefully he can continue to have a good season this campaign. And finally, Brave Man's Game in the Gold Cup. I was actually at a preview night on Monday night, at the Sun's preview night. Harry Cobden was on the panel, and he's so confident about Brave Man's Game.
Sound like he was confident about everything that night.
Well, he was. Yes, he was. Particularly about some of the horses that he's not even riding. But he did say Brave Man's Game is underrated. I agree completely. He's a phenomenally talented horse. We've seen that. He won the King George almost as he liked in the end, beating an extremely good horse in L'Homme-Pressé. Look, we know L'Homme-Pressé jumped out to his left in that race, but he's still a really good yardstick, finished well clear of Royal Pagaille. And for me, the winning ingredient, perhaps, the recipe could be the fact that Brave Man's Game jumps so well. He is arguably the best jumper of a fence I've ever seen. And I wouldn't say that lightly. If you watch back both the Charlie Hall and the King George this season, he doesn't touch a twig in either start. And if he gets in tight to one, he'll be clever. He's an absolutely stupendous fencer. And for me, that's going to stand him in extremely good stead, particularly against likely favourite Galopin des Champs, who is, of course, formidably exuberant over his fences. But that does mean that he's inclined to belt one every now and then. And we've seen that a couple of times. And if he does that in the Gold Cup, he might not just get away with it against a slick jumper such as Brave Man's Game. But hopefully, I think I've got 7 selections overall, having missed out week 3, but got 2 in week 8. We've got a couple of winners there, but I'd say Blood Destiny is definitely my strongest hope at this point. So fingers crossed he can do the business.
The triumph has been kind to us, Tom. Vauban last year got me out of a hole. And like it's been a kind race for this series down the years. So I mean, whatever happens, you will dine out on value for many years to come.
I will. I'll always remember. Oh, do you remember that time I put up Blood Destiny at 21? When I was 7-4, he was pulled up, but it was still a great pick.
This is in the year 2035. Let it go, Tom.
Exactly. Jake, you've got some fantastic selections to talk us through. Some that have been really well backed, particularly in the Stayers hurdle. So just go through what you've put up.
Yeah, I'm kind of rivaling you with Hidden Heroics as the worst bet of the series with Grange Keller West that I wanted to put up straight before he got declared for the Lords and Ace. It was just a timing thing where we started the series, but yeah, unfortunately that one didn't go to plan. But other than that, everything looks to be having a decent chance if they turn up. So we've got Jazzy Matty in the Boodles. Look, he's not got an amazing chance, but he's got a chance. 3 under through 5, then I think he's got a really nice chance. 16s into 10s. I think that that's decent value. I'm not sure if he'd be getting too much more backed on the day, but if it's quicker ground, I don't think he'll mind it as soft. Like Lord Accord probably wants it good. I don't think he'll mind if it is a little bit softer. But it's still the better the ground will probably be the better for his chance. But yeah, I think 3 under through 5 still got a good chance there. And then as you said, Tupu and the Stayers. I mean, if Blazing Cow doesn't get through this piece of work that apparently he needs to get through on Friday, it could look at a very, very decent bet again. But I think Marie's Rock is probably the one that I'd be most scared of anyway. If she turns up there getting the £7, she could take some soften, to be honest. But I'd still like Tupu, and he's clearly got a good chance. 7-1 into 4-1. That's decent. Spanish Harlem was my biggest mover. Put up at 16s on the series, all the way into like 5-1 in places. I mean, look, it's a terrible price that he is now in terms of what he's achieved. If he could be anything like Galopin des Champs, then it would look decent. But
5-1 is generally the worst price of the week.
It probably is, yeah.
It's the most baffling. I literally have no idea how he can be 5-1.
It was just because William kept on putting him up, didn't he?
Saying that
was all it is.
It's some Jake. You've got some serious value there. I mean, that is a very shrewd pick.
Look, you'd obviously rather be on at 16s and 5s, wouldn't you? That's stating the obvious.
Yeah, you're happy with 16s, no problem there. Yeah, that's fine. Anyone backing him at 5s now, I question their sanity slightly.
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that market moves. I'm imagining, imagine we'll go in, perhaps go off favourite. Cool Survivor again. If he goes, he'll be short as well. So perhaps Gordon could end up having the first and second favourites. But yeah, we'll see how that market develops. And then away from that, I've got some few chances depending on if they're going to turn up or not. So Hidden Valley Lake, I still think it's got a really good chance in the Albert Bartlett. I think that race is going to suit him perfectly. Icar Allen in the county, I'm not sure if he's going to go here. Obviously, Josh said on the live stream that perhaps the Coral Cup is the way they're thinking. So yeah, might not run, but I still think he's got a chance if he did. Am I right in the Kim Muir? Again, I've heard that he is running from the preview circuit, but nothing's been confirmed in publications or anything like that. So be one to look out for to see if he is. But having looked at all the amateur jockey bookings, he's not going to have one of the more favourable ones. So it might not really be whacking out in his favour. But if he turns up, I'd still give him a decent chance. And then in the pocket, as Dan mentioned earlier, I still think he's got a good each way chance in the Ballymore. I couldn't put you off Dartbury even if he did turn up, but it's just that fact of whether he is or isn't going to turn up, isn't it? And with Empiric Pass at favourite, perhaps not. But yeah, I think it's a decent book. And yeah, let's hope we get a couple in.
Definitely. It's a really good book, actually, Jake. And I think, I'm going to throw myself into this. I think all three of us should be pretty happy with that, actually. Some decent prices there. And, fingers crossed for some winners. That's the main thing, isn't it? But at the same time, we've got horses that are running and horses that we can look forward to, which is at the end of the day the main thing about Cheltenham. I mean, that's half the battle, isn't it? So, fingers crossed we'll get some results as well. Let's go on to the best bets for Cheltenham, because we've been through our selections over the course of the last few weeks. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be our naps. Jake, let's start with you, because we'll go through day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 for your best bets. So if you could provide one for each day, what would it be? What would they be?
Yeah, on day 1, in the Arco, actually, I'm going to be playing Dice Up Dynamo. I'm going to keep the faith with him. My week's not going to be defined by which 6-4 shot at the top of the market that I pick. So I think I'm going to take the bigger price on Dice Up Dynamo and just hope that, the shorter trip is, 1.5 furlong shorter than the Irish Arco. Danny Mullins, that was the first time he'd ever ridden him the other day as well. So hopefully, having a second time on him, he can get the fractions right out in front and just give them all something to think about. He's going to get a freebie out of the front. I'm pretty sure that's guaranteed now. John Bond the other day was schooling at Kempton, wasn't he? And he took a lead behind 2 horses, which was obviously by design. So yeah, I think Dice Up Dynamo's got a good chance. And I will give a shout out to Brandy Love as well. I think that Corvega Mare's hurdle form has been knocked, but having watched it back, she just absolutely blew up in the home straight. She was tanking before that. She was actually really keen and had to be pulled back a couple of times by Paul Townend as well. So if you go back to that Fairy House run where she absolutely thrashed Love NY, I think she's still got a really good chance. And I liked Queensbrook for the race last year. I know she didn't win the race, but she still came up massively for the Corvega run. And I think Brandy Love's going to do the same.
Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous stuff. Day 2 for you, Jake?
Yes. So day 2, Empiric Pass is kind of just the talking horse now, isn't he? In terms of the Mullins camp, absolutely love him, and yeah, I'll be playing him in the Ballymore. I still like in the pocket each way. I think between the two of them, you'd have a very good chance of finding the winner in the Ballymore. So yeah, I'll be playing Empiric Pass, and then Jerry Colombe is my absolute nap of the whole entire week. Yeah, I'll be playing him. I just look through the field and what is there to take him on? Like, I mean, you've got Mighty Potter is in the market still, and he's getting turners. You've got Sir Gerhard, who's just been shoehorned into the race because they want to have a slower race for him to have a cut at his fences because he's got such little experience. I can't have that. He should be in the turners, albeit that he probably doesn't have enough experience to win either race. The Real Whacker, just don't think he's grade 1 standard, is he? And then you got Time Hill. I couldn't have him in a month of Sundays. He's 10 years old. Like, come on, we can't be having him.
And a race that fell apart.
Exactly. Yeah. It just don't understand it at all. So yeah, that would be day 2.
Dan, what about you? Day 1 and day 2, nap and best bets.
Well, you mentioned that our best bets may not be our selections, and this is very much true of day 1 because I'm actually taking on Marlon Mission in the National Hunt Chase. I just think Gare de Manille is as solid a favourite as you can look to have. I like Marlon Mission. I'm happy with the slip as an each way chance, but I think Gare de Manille has got everything you want for the National Hunt Chase. He clearly has a class edge. I think this year's novices are a pretty average bunch, and we know he's got stamina from his Irish national run. I think he's just rock solid as a favourite. And on to day 2, bit tougher, but I think I said on live stream in Pere Pass, last week, and I'm sticking by that. Obviously, I know in the last few days since that, it's become almost a bit of a mini gamble on the Ballymore. I think he's into like 5-2 now for it, but I do think he's most likely winner of that race by some distance. Obviously, the vibes are very strong, which is always a positive. I mean, you've got that perfect blend of speed and stamina you look for in a race like the Ballymore, and the form for the Moscow Fly form didn't look great at the time. It's looking better, and you just have to love how professional he's looked through his races thus far. So that would be my best bet of day 2 as it stands.
Okay, lovely stuff. I'm going to go day 1. I was tempted for that Oscar Elite, but actually I'm going to go with Il Était Temps because I think he's a little bit underrated, and the way that he streaked clear at Leopardstown last time, it was a good field. Like Festival Vega disappointed, but it's a strong race, which suggests to me that he's the one. He's improved so much since settling better. He's really been able to show what his engine can do. So for me, Il Était Temps the Supreme on the first day. And on the second day, I'll go Jerry Colombe, actually. I'll agree with you, Jake. He's got a massive chance in that race. Unlike you, I'm not quite as dismissive about the chances of Sir Gerhard, because I think if you were looking at the race from a completely pure talent point of view, I think Sir Gerhard would be more talented than Jerry Colombe. And if he jumps around safely, which is obviously a big question mark, then I think he'd probably have him. But Jerry Colombe is so solid, and he will stay. He'll love the trip, and he's done nothing wrong. He's so genuine, so durable, and such a game horse that I think he's definitely the one to beat. But I do fear Sir Gerhard. He's twice a Cheltenham Festival winner, but that lack of experience, I think, is probably going to maybe find him out at this current level. So hopefully Jerry Colombe can put that race to bed in the Brown Advisory. Right, let's move on to day 3 and day 4. Jake, come to you.
Yeah, day 3 is quite a tricky. Well, both days 3 and 4 are actually quite tricky. But on day 3, I'm going to be playing probably Balco Coastal in the Turners each way. I think he's got a good chance on that form with Jerry Colombe. He absolutely thrashed solo before that as well, and obviously he went on to win a Grade 2. So yeah, I quite like him from an each way angle. I think 12 to 1's a decent price. And then I will be sticking with Ashro Diamond in the Mayor's Novice as well, just because Lucia could be awesome, but we just haven't seen it yet in terms of form wise. Ashro Diamond's the form play. She's going to absolutely love being held up in that race, and historically that's paid dividends. So yeah, I'll be playing those 2. And then on day 4, I've kind of just come around to the fact that Lossiemouth is a decent price now. She's not actually favourite in some boards. And I do respect Blood Destiny, absolutely, but he's going to have to be very, very good to give her £7, I think. So yeah, as she's not favourite, I'll be playing Lossiemouth in that race.
Looking forward to going to war against you, Jake, in that contest.
And the thing is, I like Gala Marceau for that race. She wouldn't be my best bet, but I mean, if we don't have the winner between us, we're doing something desperately wrong.
Absolutely.
It's got to be one of the 3, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. Unless Milton Harris has got a scriptwriter to gain an extra leg.
Or 2.
Yeah. Dan, what do you think? Days 3 and 4?
I mean, day 3 is immensely tricky. Immensely tricky. It will probably be like my break day in terms of my staking plan. But if he's fit, well, and alive, and all is sound, I'd go with Blazing Cow in the Stayers Hurdle. I do fear Marie's Rock, like Jake said earlier. I'm just worried slightly that, one, she might go to the Mayor's Hurdle, which I'd give her a cracking chance, but I think she might just still be a bit too keen and fresh for a Stayers at this stage. She still has that tendency to race with the choke out, which you just can't really afford to do in the Stayers Hurdle. So if he's okay, Blazing Cow would be my play. And in day 4, I'll end with a decent price one. And I mentioned it earlier, the more and more I think about it, the more I think Sharjah really does have a cracking chance in the County Hurdle. If the ground is on the quicker side, which I know rain is predicted, and it's all doom and gloom talk on the weather forecasters, like we're going to be running in a swamp basically, but I don't think it's going to be like that. I think we'll get a bit of rain, and we'll probably have fairly standard conditions. The ground's on the quicker side. I can see that test absolutely suiting him down to the ground, and I think he's got a very, very big chance of at least hitting the frame, and I think he's got a solid win chance as well in the County Hurdle.
Unless there's significant rain on one of the days, then yeah, there's not going to be that much change to the ground, is there? Considering how little rain we've had in the build-up and how quickly Cheltenham drains out.
That's the thing. You think people are forgetting, like, one, how the water table works there, and how like you can't just suddenly add a few mils of rain on top and all of a sudden it's soaked through and muddy and really deep. Like, it accumulates throughout time. I know they've been watering, but they probably won't have watered enough to risk a chance of soft, heavy ground festival right at the start. So I wouldn't be worried about heavy ground. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I think you've been banging this drum for a while, so I genuinely do hope Sharjah runs a big race for you, because I think, you know, it's well deserved. So good luck with that, Dan. I have to say, a bit like Jake and Jazzy Matty. Like, it's one of those things for you guys. I'll go my day 3 and day 4 picks. Day 3, I'm actually going to go out on a limb here, because, as you say, Dan, it's such a tricky day. I could have gone with a couple. I could have gone with Home by the Lee, who I really fancy in the stairs hurdle. I could have gone with my Turner's fancy. But actually, what I've done is I've gone with Dr. Kananga in the Kim Muir.
God's sake.
Best bet, yes. I love it so much.
Do you know what though? Like, I know, like, he's a massive prize, but a best bet doesn't have to be a best win bet. Like, it's a really strong each way proposition, and I'm very confident he'll run a massive race in that. I think he's been primed for the moment for this. He's had 2 runs over hurdles this season, 1 run over the national fences. That can be slightly overlooked. He went too quickly from the front, but he's such a good jumper, and I think this test is really going to suit him. We talked about this, Dan and I, on the preview we did on YouTube the other day, the live stream, and I think both of us think that he is definitely overpriced for this race. Ben Clark, a bit of a target trainer. I mean, he's not the not the most fashionable of handlers, but he can do it, and I think the race conditions are really going to suit him. The way the race is going to be run should suit him as well. So I think he's definitely not a 33-to-1 shot by any stretch of the imagination, particularly in a contest which doesn't have any standout. Like, it's not got a. I know Stumptown's a strong favourite, but he wouldn't be in the realms of certainty. So for me, yeah, he'd be a strong chance each way on the Thursday. And on the Friday, day 4, I have to go with Blood Destiny. It'll be remiss of me not to. So yeah, I'll take you on Jake with Lossiemouth and Blood Destiny, just simply because they've got the value, I suppose. But at the same time, I do think he's a bit of a machine. He'll have to be to give £7 to Lossiemouth, as you say, Jake. But at the same time, he's looked very, very good indeed. And in terms of, if you compiled and collated all the juvenile and novice hurdle form for every single horse so far this season, I'd say the strongest form probably comes from Blood Destiny, because those in behind have franked it in no uncertain terms. I mean, I said that Sir Alan earlier, but I mean, the fact that Nusret managed to win the Adonis, having been beaten nearly 19 lengths in third by him last time, suggests to me that we could be talking about a bit. I know that maybe he wasn't trying his hardest, but at the same time, it was still a wicked performance. So hopefully Blood Destiny can do the business in that. But I've got to say, gents, like, this has been a huge amount of fun. I think over the course of the last 8 or 9 weeks, we've got some decent selections to go to war with. And now, of course, it's just less than a week to go. So I don't know about you, Jake, but the juices are really flowing now.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing. Yeah. We've got a place there all week, so we're going every single day and spending it with people like you guys. So yeah, it should be fun. Let's hope we get some winners.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And a place to stay all week is no mean feat, considering the difficulty.
Yeah, I need a few bets to pay for that one.
Yeah, exactly. And Dan, I know that you're planning on going for all 4 days. Is that right?
If my body can take the punishment, it's basically my plan. I'll be there Tuesday, probably Wednesday, and we'll see where we go from there. But planning on going all 4 days. I'm planning on harassing Jake enough to let me stay at his place so I can do that as well. And if I make it out alive on Saturday, by the time I get back to London, then happy days.
That's the big success story, isn't it? We will make it out alive. Guys, thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun. Please do like the video, subscribe to our channel, and most importantly, enjoy the Cheltenham Festival, because of course it is the greatest show on turf, and that's why we're all in this great game, to really make the most of what is the most fantastic extravaganza of 4 days at that Cheltenham hallowed turf. So do make sure you sit back, relax, and savor every single moment. And join us too in the Feathered Fish after racing on day 1. Maybe not day 2, 3, or 4, but the first day, we'll try and be there as much as we can.
And before we depart, I'll do a quick parting word, just to send the viewers home happy. And I just want to pay tribute to the main man himself, and that is Mr. Jake Price, who, without this series, would have started and would not have been continued on with such regularity. We didn't know if we were going to do it again, but he's put an extraordinary amount of effort into doing everything behind the scenes, from the channel to the schedule, to getting Tom on board. We didn't have a host initially coming into this because Willow said he just didn't have the time anymore. All the agendas, all the editing, all the thumbnails, that's all his own work. He's definitely the main man of this series and put an awful amount of time into it. So fair play to you, Jake. It's been great fun. And I'd be remiss not to mention Tom, who's come on as host extraordinaire. Like, we all know Tom, he's obviously top class presenter anyway, but top class bloke to work with. Has been a breath of fresh air on this show, and it's been a delight to work with you both over the past 2 months or so. So hopefully we'll be back next year. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll see you both at Cheltenham in a few days.
I think you're going to make me cry, Dan. There's lovely words there. I tell you what, though, Dan, just before we go, I will echo your sentiments about Jake, because I think people, when people watch videos like this, they don't realise how much work can go into it. And Jake has put so much hard toil and labour into sorting this out every single week. And I think, you know, I'm not possibly the easiest to get time to do this. And Jake's been very patient with me. And every agenda he's put through has been so solid, and it's been so comprehensive as well. So Jake, thanks so much. And thanks too for having faith in me to do this. So I've enjoyed every minute of it. And yeah, as I say, hopefully we get some winners.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. And yeah, as you say, it's been great fun. And Tom, thank you so much for coming on and helping us out. And hopefully you'll be back for next year as well.
Oh, I'd love to be, particularly with two gentlemen of such fine quality as yourselves. So fingers crossed. We're back next year for more fun on the Junk Show. But yeah, for now, that's it from us. Goodbye.